Good afternoon, Great Plains cross-country race fans. This is my POV video from round 3 Coyote Crossing in Kilgore, Texas. I'm racing the Stark Varg, and because I did not have enough battery to complete the last race, round 2, MPH, I went ahead and turned my power setting for this race down to 20 horsepower with 0 regen. In my experience with electric dirt bikes, the regen doesn't really give you back what it takes. And so if you're really trying to maximize range, which is what I was trying to do in this race, you want 0 regen. And then obviously as gentle on the horsepower as you can be. With 20 horsepower, honestly, on a normal track, I can probably keep up with most people who are theoretically my speed. So an intermediate rider on a 300 two-stroke is kind of what the vast majority of, I think, guys my speed and age and skill run. So the horsepower of the bike is not really keeping me back other than the start. And obviously, no clutch, no stalling, always instantaneous engagement is a pretty big advantage most of the time. Here, it was a big advantage on the one tough hill climb because I think the one hill climb they called the Pro Hill. The Pro Hill probably saved you 45 seconds. And I actually ran a lap of practice on my 300 TPI, which does have a recluse, and I actually didn't make it. Now, I guess the line that I had tried in practice was actually an illegal line that was open in practice, but it's what a lot of us were trying to do, and I didn't make it. I did the pro line in the race all 3 of my first laps, and then it looked to me like it had been bannered off with but when I went by on my 4th lap, so I had to take the chicken line. And I think that I don't know if that was because people were getting hurt on it and they couldn't have workers there to watch, or my eyes were playing tricks on me, but it looked to me like the pro line was actually bannered off for my 4th lap, which probably hurt me a little bit because I got stuck behind somebody who was not super fast, and then it just so if it would have taken 45 seconds off my total lap time, that would have helped me. Although according to the results, I was in 4th after lap 3, and then I dropped to lap 7 after lap 4, and so that's that's a pretty big drop off. But this for me was still a win, being able to race this race on the Stark and have it actually finish. I gave up a lot on the last lap because it was orange and then it was red, and so I was being even more gentle than I could have been. And my lap 3, I ran a 25:07, which is pretty close to my lap 2, which was a 24:59. And then my lap 4 was a 24:33. So some of that was probably not being able to do the pro climb. Some of that probably was getting stuck behind a slower rider at that portion of the track. But then also probably some of that is just fatigue on me. This track was definitely tough. It had mud holes that like some of my friends in the PM race, they got stuck in and unfortunately kind of ruined their race. So you had to be, you had to be careful and, kind of take a chicken line when it was necessary, because if you took a risk, it could literally end your race. And so the only risk quote unquote I took would be to do the pro line every time, which again, when you're on a Stark, is not really that much of a risk, because theoretically, if I would have got stuck on the side of the hill, I could have put it in a walk mode, and I probably still would have, lost no time to having taken, the chicken line, and maybe even would have coming out faster depending on when I got, stuck. I have never actually tried to do a hill climb in walk mode, but it would be interesting. Next time we have a race like this, I'll try to do that. I'll just put it in walk mode and then tractor up, because walk mode maxes out at 2.5 miles an hour, but it doesn't let you slide backward. So, I mean, that would be full on idiot proof. So anyways, I'm following, I think this is Jim Robinette in my class. He and Joseph Bahrain, who I think are buddies, are, I think they were riding practice together and they let me follow them. That was kind of one of the things I was wanting to do. I rode practice. I did several laps of practice. I did the sprint race, which I raced at the normal, what I consider a normal power. It's 38 horsepower and 15 regen because I don't have to worry about range. But I also kind of screwed myself because my buddy talked me into putting it at 60 horsepower, but I didn't trust myself not to whiskey throttle and kill somebody. So I also put it at 100% regen. And so it was like I pulled like 3 wheelies, and it was the most start-stop you've ever seen. It was like, you know, a kid learning to ride with a clutch for the first time, except there was no clutch. It was just me, 60 horsepower and 100 regen. And so anyways, but when I met up with Joseph and Jim in practice and I was on my Stark at just 20 horsepower, I was able to keep up with them. And then another one of my buddies who I rode summer practice with, Jason LaHood, on 20 horsepower, no regen, I could keep up with him. But I did 1 lap of practice on my 300, which is a 2021 KTM 300 TPI with a Recluse. And I was definitely slower on that bike because I was riding with a couple of buddies, and they waited for me. I can't even tell you how many times they waited for me on that 1 lap. I did it on that 300. And then on the Stark, they didn't really have to wait on me, but we also got separated pretty quick. So it was not the same. So another part of my lap being 2.5 minutes slower for this last one, aside from me trying to baby it, was, you know, I did the sprint race. I did 3 laps of practice, and I did this race. And this was, you know, a 5.5 hour drive for me. So I had to get up Saturday morning, drive the 5.5 hours, sign up for the sprint race the sprint race, then do practice, blah, blah. So I burned 8,500 calories on Saturday and Sunday, which is not the biggest deal in the world. You know, I typically burn 4,000 calories on a decent exercise day. But I think when you throw in the fatigue and stress of travel and the race, it probably cost me a little bit. But again, if you're going to drive 5.5 hours for a race, you're going to probably try to get every bit of, like, I guess, value out of it you could. And so, you know, then you could argue with yourself, is the value from getting the most miles in, or is the value from doing well? And so I try to tell myself I'm doing this for fun. I don't really care if I win or lose. And so theoretically, that would be more exercise, more calories burned, more miles, and suffer a little bit in the results. This is my first time in this class. And so, you know, let's just pretend this was 450 Supercross. So your first season, you just get your feet wet, you learn everything. Maybe you win a race your second season, and then you're a legit championship contender by your third season. And so I'm pretty far from winning a race in this class so far. Part of it is because the number 1 guy is Jason Owens. And that dude, looking at the results, he was a minute faster than the second place guy every single lap, and probably more than that. The second place guy was Jimmy Autry. I've raced him at, I don't think he made round 2, but I passed him at the very end on round 1. He's also, I think, raced a couple of the short courses with me in the over 45 AB, and I think he's beaten me in both of those. I think he's a pretty good starter. Again, I've had crashes and first turn pileups, so I'm a big sissy when it comes to trying to get the whole start. The only way, I always start on the outside, because that way if there's a pileup on the inside, I can ride around it. And as you know, you're probably not going to get the whole shot from the far outside. But if you do, then you're going to really run away with it. So anyways, this is, I think, me still following Jim. He's obviously riding good. And to be honest with you, on lap 1, I'm always happy to just like go with somebody in the class that I feel like has decent pace and just latch on. So even though I definitely knew the track fully by 3 practice laps and everything there, I'm still happy to see how it races, because how it practices and how it races are two different things. I have to mute my sound, because if I do this voiceover and I also play the sound, then you can't hear so well. But there's a bunch of the kids who are behind us, and they come up on you and they rev, like they're like, here's one. I don't know, that could have been some dude in my class, to be honest with you, I don't know. But anyways, they rev on you like crazy, because they're 15 and they don't know any better. It's kind of funny though when you're a train of 4 guys and you're like, bro, I could go faster too. Like there's a line of guys. What are you gonna do? But they do that. MPH was hilarious for that. There'd be a train of 6 guys, and some kid behind me is revving like crazy. So that's Joseph. He did not get second, although he's probably in a lot of ways the second fastest guy. He's normally a great starter, so he must have gotten a horrible start. And he's super fast in the straights. And so it's really kind of funny, because I think he and I pass each other several times. Well, really, I think it's probably just he passes me, then crashes, and passes me, then crashes. Or maybe he got caught up on the hill line. But his pace is really good. And like I was saying, I'm just trying to like latch on and find a flow for lap 1. And again, conserve battery, because if I was gonna like really go nuts. So that dude who just passed me, he's also in my class. I think his name is Jeff Melton. I'm not sure. He's also on a 4-stroke, and he's also really fast in the straights. I feel like I can hang with him and Joseph in the trees, no problem, but they're always faster than me in the straights. I'm just not going to twist it. I'm pretty sure they're both on 4-strokes, and they're both just dudes who are not afraid to go fast. So with either one of them, I'm just always happy to latch on and go. So that was obviously a horrible line right there, but I'm not really worried, because sometimes it gives a chance for one of these kids who's freaking out behind me to sneak by. Like this kid, I'm pretty sure he crashes and I get by him again, and then he goes again. But this big bunch here is still mostly guys in my class. So if you look at the podium from my class, the guys who finished first, second, and third, they were first, second, third at the end of the first lap, and they were also first, second, third at the end of the second lap. The only problem was Joseph he finished 5th, and he got up to second at the end of the third lap, and then probably had a mishap. I don't know if he crashed in one of the mud holes or what, because he was in second, which realistically is as good as you're going to do, because that Jason Owens guy, he's in the wrong class. But anyway, but the top probably 4, 5, 6 of us, not counting the number 1 guy, he's an outlier, are all really tight. And it's really fun when you're in a class that like 4 or 5 guys can legitimately win. So this is just trying to, get through the lap. You can see there's a big hold up here. And so I've tried to learn these people's names, but that dude who's in front of me, whatever jersey's number he's running, I could not find it in the results. So, a lot of us run different series. So who knows, maybe that's a 17-year-old jersey that guy's running, but I couldn't figure out who it was by the number on his jersey. And in these videos, it's really hard to see the what the number is on there, for your class thing. So that was pretty easy. Now he does that. So he does to the left, which I should have done too. But this Stark on 20 horsepower, you got to be so good to get the front wheel up. And I just felt like, okay, give up maybe 5 seconds there to not go down, and maybe race 20 seconds. That's just risk reward. That doesn't make any sense. Whoever this guy is, I guess he might actually be in my class, because I feel like I'm reeling him in when we get into the tight stuff, which again is always my theme. In tight stuff, I can keep up with most people who are my speed, and in the straights I'm going to get dropped. Although maybe he's getting held up by the guy in front of him. but I'm pretty sure I see him crash a couple of times because I feel like I go back and forth with him a little bit. So, again, just try to be smooth, which the Stark makes super easy. Try to take the smart lines. That's one thing. Like, Joseph is so good at, his lines are good. So here we come to the pro line. And so this is, like, these guys are just sitting. And so it's like, so that one guy takes off. And so the guy in the blue there, he has to go take the chicken line because this guy does get stuck. And I tractor by him. So like 314. Go look in the results. You're not going to find a dude number 314 in this race, at least that I can find. So I have no idea who that dude is. But anyways, so got by him. But he'll probably pass me again at some point. So then this was a pretty tight technical part. And so this is a bad place to get stuck behind a slower rider because you're not going to pass, and it's pretty technical. So as you can tell, I'm not riding really fast. I'm not blowing anybody's doors off on this lap one. And my position at the end of lap one was 5th, which for me would be perfectly reasonable. Like, let's say the top end of what I'm capable of is a 2nd place. Then, in our class, 2 through 6, 2 through 7, however deep it goes, you're capable of catching and passing them. And so I'm just trying to be steady, learn what the smooth race lines are, and again, make it as fast as I can be without the burning too much juice. Like that area right there that we just went through was really pretty nasty. And so it's super easy to, if you were on a clutch, it would have been really easy to stall it there and just get real bumpy and beat it up and herky-jerky and blah, blah, blah. And that's where, places like that where the Stark is just like cheating. Also, the other thing, like coming down there, for me, I keep both feet on the pegs, balls on my feet, and I do equal braking on the front and the back, which really helps just like with control. And I think I'm getting better and better and better at that. Now, if I could ride this on 38 horsepower, then I would probably be as fast as I could be on anything. If I were on a 300 TBI, that might make me the fastest over a race, but I have a TPI and I don't really want to spend the money to quote unquote upgrade when I hope to ride the gas bike as little as possible. It would be really fun to run a TBI 300 one race and see how I can do, like especially with those guys like Joseph and Jeff Melton, who are so fast in the straights, because if I were on a bike where I wasn't worried about range at all, then it'd be interesting to see if I could give them a go, which obviously I had the opportunity to do that in the short race, and I've gotten like 1 second, I think, in the short course race, and the other 2 have been duds. But in that short race, your starting position is everything. So I'm just trying to, flow as best I can, learn the track. I wonder, that bridge right there was a little bit sketchy because as it got, the race went on and on and on, that little like get up became more and more rough, and I was like, man, I wonder if like a B or a C rider could like get a little bit wobbly and go off right there. I didn't hear about that happening, but I was like, ooh, that could have happened to me. I could sure see it happen to somebody who is a little bit less experienced with that type of stuff. This log is not super easy to cross when you're on the Stark at 20 horsepower. You really have to like stab the front brake and get the bike to dive and then lift and pull. But there was, somebody had built up a little mound, so it wasn't a real log crossing. So that made that easy, although it looked like somebody had hit that a little bit too hard, and Probably went down hard on a collarbone or something. Or at least it looked like that, and there was somebody there helping him. So I'm just carrying on and trying to be smooth. This is theoretically a spot where I should be able to be fast. So what would be really helpful is if there was somebody in front of me that I was trying to pull up to, because that always is what helps me go a little bit faster. So there's a trio or something that I probably should be trying to work up towards while it's this crappy stuff. This is the deepest, most difficult G out. Video's not going to do it justice, but like I heard in the afternoon race, there were pros stuck in that G out, and they were stuck in that G out, and like guys were backed up like 8 people deep. Like that is literally the deepest G out. I crashed there in practice once. That was just insane. And then this mud crossing also became borderline impossible. Like I got like so stuck. I was like buried to the pegs. I had to lift, push. It was just, it was too soft. And, one of the great things about Great Plains is there's just a ton of riders. But like these tracks are going to have the equivalent of like 1,000 laps on them. So stuff like that is going to be difficult. So this is a wide open field section. So I'm only running 20 horsepower. And so this is the kind of place that I would normally be horrible at anyways. But any bit I'm slow here is just because I'm slow here. Because if you could give me, 800 horsepower and I'm going to be slow. That looked like it was Joseph, and I don't know who the other guy was, but I think it was somebody else in my class. And so they obviously got together. I don't know how that happened. It looked like the other guy was helping get a bike off Joseph. So, I don't know if it was just a racing incident or one guy went in too hard. But there goes, I think, Jeff Melton passing me again, of course. Wide open. He's going to pass me. I'm going to just guess I probably got by him on the pro climb. And then, he had to give up 50 seconds by taking the chicken line. And so here I'm just trying to like use him as a marker and lose like the least amount. So, go wide, try not to, just hug the insides on my turns, which is my default that I do and is slow as molasses. And so I'm just, again, trying to lose the least amount I can between he and I while I'm in what is just a known weakness for me. So this is, the other thing is on, I don't remember if it was my second lap or my third lap, I crashed right there, which is, frustrating and embarrassing. So all kinds of people around just to watch you dump it over in the sand for no reason other than you're just riding too slow. But so here's the start of lap 2. And so this is where I'll usually tell myself is like, okay, you've seen the whole track at race pace. Try to put in a decent lap, which I kind of did because this lap was my fastest lap of the race at a 24:59. So, I mean, theoretically, that's just going to be what I'm capable of. So if you look at like the guy who got first place, his first lap was a 23:48. So that's just not happening for me. But if you look at Jimmy Autry, who, I feel like we're pretty close, he was a 24:50. And obviously he had the start on me. Now, I don't know, he might have been forced to take the chicken line at the Pro Hill. And then Mark Vizrak, I don't know how you pronounce that, but he was a 24:56. And then, who else? Anyways, we were all, pretty close right there as far as, what a clean lap can look like. And so like, if you look at the Mark Verzak guy who got third, that was what his last lap was a 24:54 and his third lap was a 25:30. So it's like, you run that pace, you're going to be good. Same thing with Jimmy Autry. He 24:50, then a 25:17, then a 24:19. Wow, that was solid. So Jimmy dropped a lap. He dropped a minute on his lap. So there's a shout out for fitness, and then getting better as the race goes on. And then Joseph, he's the one who had an awful one. He went from second to he did a 27:40 on his last lap, so he was actually slower than me. So I'm guessing he had a crash or two. That guy just goes like he's going. So here we are watching me paddle around in the deep sand / straights where I'm going to be just horrible. And then also in the dust, like I'm a chicken about just setting it in the dust. So, when you're in the dust, if you can really suck up on them before their dust gets high enough to block your view, that's fine. But if you're not that fast, you're just getting totally blown out. It's I'm not just gonna kamikaze through that stuff. So anyway, just trying to flow and ride a decent lap, no big mistakes, and do as well as I can. So there's number 314 again, except for he's not 314 according to the results. But anyway, so he must be like Joseph Bahrain, where he catches me and passes me multiple times, because I think that's his third time to pass me. So anyway, I should be able to latch onto him. I don't know what's going on with me. Either he's riding really good or I'm riding really bad. One of my laps, Joseph patches me through here, and I catch he had a good line where it went way to the outside, and it was just a lot smoother. So here, theoretically, you should be just going all out. You're doing everything you can to stay on top of the sand. And for me, having range in mind, I'm trying to do the shortest line, not like really crack the throttle wide open. Like I'm trying to stay on this inside here where the sand is wet, which means it's going to feel a little bit harder. I should have gone to the right there because that line was probably nowhere as soft. So that light down there to the red is going to be less deep and faster and less rough. So I think I saw that on this lap, and I just never managed to do it. There's just every race there's gonna be 20 different times where you have an option for this line versus that line, and the guys who are really good at that are just impossible for me to like keep up with, because I'm not that good. It's like some people are good in the straight, some people are good in the tight stuff, some people are good with line selection. That's one thing that Joseph Bahrain, I feel like, is excellent at. His line selection is really good, and he's really, really fast in the straights. So I've got somebody to follow. I think Joseph Line was the far outside there, which was probably better because you could get on actual grass, but I wasn't there yet. The other thing that I'm not super sure about is so I follow this main line. Okay. But in some race series, you always go to the outside of a 45. Well, Great Plains doesn't do that. I think they do the standard, and I should know this. It's your responsibility to read the rule book, but I don't know. But for some series that you've got 15 feet to either side of the arrow, and other people it's different. But anyways, I didn't know if that far inside was technically legal or not. Just like I told you that the line that I practiced on, the hard line for the pro line, which was one that was way to the left, which I didn't know. A bunch of people in practice were doing it, but evidently that was illegal, and it got roped off for the race, which was good. But these guys, there's however many miles of track. I don't remember how many miles this track was. Let's call it 7 miles of track. It's like they can't banner everything. You're gonna have to just count on people to read the rule book, which I need to do better at, and then just not be dirt bags. So anyways, just trying to flow and do kind of the best I can with getting out of all of this, and as I catch up on people, work on reeling them in. Now this one was this is a good example of me being that was not the fast way to do that. because you gave yourself a chicane. I should have gone to the left, but one of my defaults that I always tell myself is like when you're on an off camber, you're buying yourself a little bit of leeway the higher you stay on the hill, because if you lose grip, what way are you going to slide? You're going to slide down. So it's like when you've got altitude or more area to slide down, then you've got a built-in safety net. But what happens at the bottom of where everybody slides down to, there's going to be a berm. So, there's advantages and disadvantages to one. I usually always try to have, just try to do the safest choice when it comes to things like that. And so, riding down at the bottom would be faster. That was a decent line, but it was a slow way to take it. But because if you ride way on the bottom there, you obviously run the chance of your bars catching a tree, and so that's going to be tough. This part of the track just got worse and worse and worse. This was bad in the short course, you know what I mean? And you can just see this little trail is getting wider and wider and wider. And as a matter of fact, I don't know if it's this lap, but maybe third lap, like I catch some guys in my class. This is another place, Stark is advantage. So like, look at that. That is, that I can't even tell you how deep that was, past the pegs. And then, okay, so here's two guys in my class, both faster than me. I don't know what happened, if their ruts brought them together or whatnot. But anyway, when you're having to manipulate a clutch and do all this stuff versus just feet on the pegs, and you don't have to worry about modulating the clutch. You just go through this because, as herky-jerky as it is, if you got a recluse, no big deal. But otherwise, this is another place where the Stark is just a huge advantage. So I think in a race, I would be faster if I was on a 300 TBI. But it's just, I don't, it's the Stark is so easy, and it adds a different challenge. And honestly, for me, I think it's safer, because if I've got to try to flow and blah, 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 then versus just wrapping out a 300 TBI and doing well. So there goes Joseph again. So man, he must have had a rough race, because he was all over the place. So maybe he could hang on to Jason Owens if he had a clean race, but I think this was a rare race where he did not get a good start. So I should be able to latch on to him here, but again, I'm trying to be, judicious with the gas. See, that was the good line. Like when I'm following him, I took that line, but I guarantee every other lap, I took that outside line, which was just slower. And so anyway, he's about to have a big one here. Which would be how I pass him again. Like, this is scary. This dude's like a cat. Watch this coming up in just a second. So, bam! That doesn't look as bad as it was, but in real life at full speed, it just looked like that could have been so nasty. And so, anyways, this, you can't really see how bad the roots were here, but they were bad. And so and what was he doing? Like, Joseph was going fast, and he probably would have dropped me there, except for that he hit a root at the wrong time and it threw him dead into a tree. And so, I mean, that's part of the problem. Going through dust or going through those rooty sections, it's just Russian roulette. And I'm just going to give up the time there and try to be better someplace else. So here we are. This is pretty straight. And in this track, I didn't always remember what it was, but see, there was a turn, and in the turn, there's those little ditches or culverts. I don't know what farmers call them, but anyways, a ditch, right? And so you have to know that that's coming, because I crashed in the short course in a situation exactly like that. You come around kind of like a gentle bend, not even really a corner, but it's enough of a gentle bend that you don't realize that there's this ditch coming, and this ditch still has two ruts, and you better be on the right one or it's super easy to go down. So anyway, yeah, just trying to flow. Obviously, I know at this point that Joseph is behind me. I don't have actually any idea probably where I am. I just know that Joseph's fast, and if I'm in front of him, I've got to be doing halfway decent. So I'm probably trying to put in some really decent laps. Again, this was just crap. The trail there is horrible, which is a big advantage for the Stark because it's going to be less herky jerky. First of all, it weighs as much as a tank, so it gives you a little bit of stability, but not having to modulate the clutch and all that stuff when you're going over the bump, like it's just an advantage. So that's another place and the place that got so chewed out where it was just, past your pegs down to the roots, that's a big advantage, is to be on the Stark and not have to modulate. So there's a flat corner, even a little bit off camber that I'm going to be horrible at. And then getting back into the trees where hopefully I'm going to make up some time. I don't really see any dust. So that's also the problem is sometimes you do well when you got somebody to latch onto. So I think I did tell myself, it's like, okay, let's see if you can make it through this super long straight and not get blown by either Joseph or Jeff Melton. Of course, I don't actually know if I'm in front or behind Jeff at this point, but those are the things that tell me to, which is one of the things about racing is like, there's the race within a race, and if you could max out every section, which you can't do, it's not humanly possible. But so, you got to use the motivation when you have it. So right now, I know that Joseph's behind me. So I'm going to just see, hey, how long can I keep him behind me? Because I know he's fast and he's going to have a solid finish. Like he got up into second and then evidently had a real bad last lap somehow. So hopefully he's okay. So this is just kind of bumpy, nasty. Get through there. Here we come out on the wide open straight. Somebody's probably reeling me in, and then we're back into the woods, and man, that was slow. So here's another place where I came up, and so I just so there's that banner, right? So you should turn right, like exactly where I did, but I think every other time I went wide, and it was just for no reason. It's just bad line choice. Well, no, it was right there. That's where it was. Like, why did I go wide? Like the banner makes you think there's not a line there, but there was a line just on the outside of the banner, which really would have saved me. But again, it's 3 seconds. So who cares about 3 seconds? But if you're doing that every lap, see, to the far left, there was a better line, which I took one time this race. I had one lap where I took it. And so this is a super nasty, like everybody's going to make this, but that's a climb that is just a piece of cake on the Stark because you're not worried about the clutch, feet on the pegs, good balance, point it at the least bumpy line and go. And again, 20 horsepower, you don't even have to worry about whiskey throttle. You just bury it, which is not my strong suit, but at 20 horsepower, even I can bury the throttle. So this, again, should be someplace where I do good. So if I'm really riding good, I'm hopefully going to catch somebody, but I don't see dust or anything. So, I'm sure I know that Joseph's back there and he's coming. That little turn was way more difficult than it looked. Like there was that little root and you couldn't put a foot down, and the hole to the inside of the root was like a solid 12 inches down. So it's just like stuff like that. But if you carry speed, no big deal. You're going to be just fine. But it was one of those things that's super hard for a beginner because you cannot tiptoe. If you try to putt around there, you won't make it. So here we come. They fixed this one. If I had bigger balls, I would have just jumped right there. I come over here to the concrete. I guess you don't call it a concrete tin horn, but whatever you call that thing, we'll call it a concrete cylinder, like we understand geometry. So go over the concrete cylinder, give up 5 seconds, but my buddy was making fun of me. He's like, you got to come ride with me. And like, how could you not do that 3-foot creek jump? Well, I'm on this Stark with 20 horsepower, and I don't trust myself to be able to lift the wheel. And again, gain 5 seconds to risk losing 30. That's a good way to go broke. So anyway, just trying to stay on this one. By the way, so like I watched a little bit of Tanner Myers things. You know what he did that was so smart? When he was coming off that bridge, I went to the end of the bridge. Like it had guardrails or something. That was just stupid. What did Tanner Myers do? Tanner Myers, like 3 feet from the end of the bridge, he just turned it off. So I'm making myself make 3 turns. Like I've got to make this almost U-turn when I come off this to go around. Then I got to go around the cloud. And then Tanner Myers just, cuts off the end of the bridge and just goes. So again, the difference between a pro and me. So this, again, so easy. I'm standing up, the throttle's buried, and I've got this punk-ass tire. The Stark comes with the biggest piece of crap tire. Now, my buddy who's really good at hard enduro, he says he likes it. It's a good hard enduro tire. I'm not good at hard enduro, so I don't care what tire is good for hard enduro. It's too soft and gummy, and I don't like it. It feels like it rolls. But anyways, that punk-ass hard enduro tire did make it up that super easy on a cheater Stark. And then just trying to like go along and do my best, and also wonder, okay, where's Joseph? When's he going to catch me? Or am I going to catch anybody else in my class? Which I do think, I don't know, I think at some point during the race, so Jimmy Autry got second, and for some reason I feel like he was in black and yellow gear, even though I'm pretty sure he rides a Yamaha, but it was like he looked like a Bumblebee or a Pittsburgh Steeler or something. But anyways, I like caught up to him. So at one time in like probably the third lap, because the fourth lap all I did was drop spots like a boat anchor. But I caught him, and then maybe he crashed or something. But it does go to show you, it's like if I could be, on the wheel of the second place guy through the third lap, like, man, this bike is so close to win. And here's a spot again. The Stark is a cheater. Like that would be, I know, the GoPro makes it look easy, but that is fairly difficult on on most gas bikes. If you have the right gas bike, like on my 300 with a Recluse, could I do it? Or if you had a 300 TBI without a Recluse, those things have so much power that you could lug it in third gear and it's not going to stall. I think I could do just fine. But again, it's no stress. You just go, and that's part of improving your performance is minimizing fatigue, and so that's a place where the Stark helps you. Is it minimizes fatigue. And fatigue was something that I did have, to kind of manage since so many laps of practice and the sprint race. And then just, being 5.5 hours from home is just, I'm a homebody. I don't like that. So all of those things cause me fatigue, whether it's mental or physical, which, take a toll, especially in a sport like this where fatigue affects your decision-making and your coordination. And so when you have things like that would be difficult, like that's just a small example of it. The pro hill climb is like this bike 100% gave me 50 seconds a lap or whatever, however it worked out for, what the pro line gave you, the pro hill climb, because again, I don't usually like to take risks, in a race. And so, I probably would have done the chicken line every lap, even if I was on a 300 TBI. So this guy, I didn't realize it, but this guy's in my class. So at this point in the race, I think he and I pass each other a couple of times. So again, and I think Great Plains has changed the stickers a little bit. So like he lets me by, but I didn't realize he was in my class, but he was in my class. So I whooped at him, and I probably shouldn't have whooped at him. But then also we come up to this little bit of a straight section. Nobody wants to be behind me in a straight section because I'm just a roadblock at that point. But anyways, he passes me back at some point here pretty soon, I think. And then, but I know I caught him at least one or two more times. I have no idea who he is, other than I'm pretty sure he's in my class because you could see him off the start. He took the inside line off the start when we first dive into the woods, which I didn't do because I would have been going into that line in probably fourth place. and you couldn't see anything. It was all dust. And he took it and didn't go down, even though there's no chance he could see anything. So I don't know, maybe he walked the heck out of it and he knew it really well. But I'm just not going to do that. Go into the trees, into the whoops, into whatever else. So there he goes. I don't know. I didn't get a look at his helmet sticker. I'm pretty sure this dude's in my class. I just don't know his name. This is my first year racing this class, so I don't know all these people. But anyways, obviously he's doing decent, because at the end of the second lap, I was in fourth. So maybe that's Mark Verzak, because he was in third, although that would assume I don't get passed by anybody else this lap, which I think I do, because I swear I spent this whole lap getting passed. This race was like such a good synopsis of like how the Stark is good versus not. And so which again, the biggest place it showed on that pro hill climb, where it probably saved a minute and a half off of my total race time, just because I could take the pro hill climb with no stress. So anyways, so you'll see. So yeah, maybe if I don't get past in that field section, that dude is evidently Mark Verzak, because I'm pretty sure he's in my class. And he also finished third, which means he's good. So that line, like, obviously you're not supposed to tiptoe around the inside. That was slow as hell. But again, I was trying to save battery as much as I can. So here I've got him to mark on. I didn't know that he's in my class at this point. I just know that I passed him, and that evidently he thought that was I was not slowing. Who knows? Maybe he had a tip over and he was straightening his bars or something, and then he got it fixed, and then he could go back to riding at his normal pace or whatever. Or if he just kind of gotten a little bit of like highway hypnosis and just lapsed into a slower pace, and then when I go by him, he's like, oh my God, I got passed by this dude, it's time to go. So anyways, I'm trying to be steady. Theoretically, he went into the field section maybe 3 to 5 seconds ahead. So I'm like, okay, I'm horrible, but if I could in the field section, but if I can stay within 3 to 5 seconds, I've at least stopped the bleeding. And then I can do, I just will usually bet on myself to catch somebody in the woods. Although not always. I'm not gonna bonsai a root section like Joseph and go straight into a tree. But short of that, I'm willing to lay down a line a little bit more there. So here we come at the end of the second lap, which again, on paper, this was my best lap, which is kind of funny to see because it just looks so slow. So I wonder, was it the third lap? Do I dump it right here? Because that's where I dumped it. Oh, I dumped it right there. So wow, that was really good lap because, I just gave away 10 seconds there. Nobody passes me. And I evidently came through in fourth place. So anyway, so there's lap 2 in the books. So I'm pretty happy with that lap, I think, in my own head at that time. Again, I don't know if I managed to look there and see I was in fourth or not. But this kid, he passes me, and then I think I know him. I think I try to latch onto him because I think he's a kid who's normally about my pace, but I'm not sure. He had the Camelback on to cover up his name and number, but it looks like his jersey has a name and number. So I'm not sure if he's the kid I'm thinking of or not. But anyway, on paper, this should theoretically be a fairly boring lap because, I was in fourth place and then I finished in fourth place. But I think at least Joseph passes me, and it wouldn't surprise me if other people pass me this lap also. That was a pretty good line for me through there. I don't know if that was legal because, man, the track is looking a lot wider than 30 yards at that point. But obviously it was a well-established line. And then, sometimes series get put in a bad spot where,
if the line is established, then it's, then they have a hard time calling it illegal. Although if you listen to them at the beginning of the race when they go through the rules, it'll be like a cheat line is a cheat line. Just because it's established doesn't mean it's a cheat line. So I don't know if that was a cheat line or not, but if that was a cheat line, it's a cheat line that 200 people took, and I was just one of 200. Also, nobody probably protested me in 7th place in over 50 intermediate. So anyways, just trying to, continue to ride smooth. I think I'm about to get passed by Noah Hasbell, which I thought it was Emma Hasbell. I was like, how is Noah Hasbell in this class? But yeah. So yeah, but evidently that was Noah and not his sister. I knew that hit the obviously there's some fast women in this race, so that's why I thought it was his sister, probably lapping me, which she definitely could have done. I think she's lapped me in a few Oka races. But anyways, I heard that Noah and his dad, who's just a normal guy, intermediate rider, with 2 lightning fast kids. But that was actually Noah who's blitzering fast. I don't actually know who's faster between him and his sister. But I've ridden with Noah at Stillwater 500, and he's fast. And I've seen his sister. She's beat J.D. Walker in races, so she's also insanely fast. So anyways, here we are on fairly wide open spots. So the thing that I'm theoretically should be trying to tell myself is just, minimize the bleeding. I'm going to be slow with all these field sections. I'm going to get past, but holy cow, that looks slow. This is technically woods. I shouldn't be this slow. But anyway, maybe fatigue is catching me. But this deep sand stuff, this was tough, man. And, I was trying to, save the energy on the bike, but I'm also just not very good at this. This is just me being slow. Now, I'm pretty sure Joseph is about to pass me because I think when he gets by me and then I see the next time there's another section that looks just like this, super deep sand. Yep, there he goes. Okay, so I try to latch on to him, although this is a little bit too wide open. Aha, Joseph, you should have gone to the right there. I should have gone to the right there. But no, we both take the idiot's line that's rough and slow. So anyway, and he still manages to absolutely walk away from me. But somehow, at some point, I catch him. I don't know where. Maybe at the pro climb, he was forced to take the chicken line or what happened. But I know he's there, and believe it or not, so he's out of my view, right? So maybe he laid it over, because I know at one point coming up here, I get right back on his tire again. So even though it looks like I'm going super slow, I'm going fast for me. And I think I reeled him in because, again, maybe see that you can see me starting to see his dust again. And then there's one point up here where so this is where I follow him. So this line, my normal would be to go to the inside, but he went out here where there's actually a base, right? So that is, sometimes the shortest line isn't the fastest line, and it depends on the track. But anyways, I'm just trying to ride the fast line. So here I go, taking what I feel like is a reasonable line, but not what might be a cheap line. And then this part is tough because it gets deep, and so I'm doing my best to try to maintain enough speed that I stay on top of it, although as you can see that was slow as hell. But it is what it is. So there's nothing slower than crashing. So that's one of the things I try to tell myself. And but look how deep that is. That's just so deep. And so anyway, doing my best to try to stay on top of it as much as I can, and flow as much as I can, and just see if I can reel Joseph back in. So that's what I'm trying to do. Just good lines, flow, smooth. At this point, I think I'm probably aware of my battery. Now, my pre-race math said it was not battery should not have been a problem, because I think I was able to do 2 laps. I was able to do 2 laps with like, you know, I can't remember what it was, like 46%. So theoretically, I was like, I knew nobody in my race is getting 5 laps. And so I thought I would be fine. But, you know, the things that affect range is, like, first of all, how hard are you on the throttle? And then the other thing is temperature. So, you know, I don't know theoretically what the ideal temperature is to get a lot of range. Too hot is not good and too cold is not good. But on the Saturday where I did practice, you know, it was probably 55 to 65, I'm guessing, which is probably close to ideal for battery range. Again, I'm guessing. But this also wasn't super hot. So anyway, the afternoon guys, you know, the temperature got up there a little bit, and then that would have been see, that was the good line, but that was a slow way to take it. What, you know, maybe there was some rut or kink or whatever, I don't know, but that was slow. I don't even know if that's Joseph who's in front of me at this point, or if he's caught and passed somebody else. But I think that's what I'm trying to tell myself is, like, Joseph there, you know, you can go his speed, catch up, latch on is, you know, I think what I'm trying to say to myself. And then, so no, that is not Joseph. So Joseph has already gotten by this dude, and this is just, you know what, this might be the Mark Verzak guy who's in my class and got third, that I guess I didn't know was in my class. So anyway, I'm gonna, like, know that obviously Joseph has already passed him. So in my head, I'm like, okay, pass this dude, catch up to Joseph, latch on. If you do that, that's a success. And so that's what I was trying to do. And again, at this stage, like this part of the course, Stark is a big advantage, just because all you got to do is, you know, feet on the pegs, no clutch to worry about, give it gas, control your balance, point it in the right direction. And so that's what I'm trying to do. Is in my head, I'm probably telling myself, pass this guy and catch up to Joseph. And so, well, who's that? No, I don't think that's Joseph. That's not Joseph. That's somebody else who looks like him, I think. So I'm just trying to, like, latch on to both of these guys. Oh, that's that kid who passed me that I may or may not know. But anyway, see, that's what I mean with, and that's probably further reinforcing in my head, right or wrong. See, just ride a steady pace, and then you will, you know, do better. But who knows what that kid was doing. You know, that's the kid who flew by me at the very beginning of the lap. And, you know, theoretically walked away from me. So I don't know, maybe he got a flat tire or something. So, okay, bad line. I should have taken the inside. I guarantee Joseph took the inside. That dude must have, like, a photographic memory. I don't know how he always takes the good line. And maybe he doesn't. Maybe that's just what I'm seeing. When I'm on him, he's taking the good line. But I just feel like he takes the good line way more often than not. This was a bad run through this section for me, because I think I saw myself catching this guy. And so, and so I'm like, I went through a line that I normally don't do, which is the risk when you take a line that you don't know. But to get through that place with the handlebars like that, like, that dude got behind me, and I have no idea who that dude is. I don't think he's anybody in my class, but obviously that was, you know, a slow way to get through that, because not only did that kid get by me, but whoever that dude was that I was trying to reel in, that guy was gone. And here we are out in the open. So I'll be doing good, just not to lose any more spots. There's those kind of G out after a gentle bend, just so you can't see, which for me is just knowing that happens a couple of times on this racetrack is enough to make me slower every time we hit one of those, which is
just frustrating to watch myself go so slow there. But it is what it is. So this is a part where I should feel good and where I should be fast. And so I'm just trying to tell myself that is, that's going to be a decent section for me. This should be a decent section for me. So if there's anybody up here who you're capable of catching, this is where you're going to do it. So now there's somebody in front of me who I don't know who it is. It could be somebody who just went by me, but I'm going to reel him in this section. Yeah, it's that other dude who looks like he's got a jersey / colorway similar to Joseph's, but he doesn't have his name and number on it. So losing a little bit in the open, because that's what I do. And then let's see what happens if I can do anything when we get back into the trees. So maybe pinched up on him a little bit. So, oh, there's the dude who, okay, I think that's the Mark Verzak guy. I could be wrong, but okay, I was horrible at that turn. So he lets me by again, and I think he realizes that we're in the same class. I could be wrong about that, but that's what I think that dude is, and I think he's just trying to be nice and letting a faster rider by. Like, if somebody catches you from behind, they're faster. But then I think he probably quickly goes by me. So, because he's like, whoa, that dude's in my class. But could have obviously been wrong about that. Here I am, big, wide, open stuff where I'm going to be very slow and just try to minimize the damage and try to go outside to in and on the gas early. And so that dude didn't go back by me, so I don't know what happened, but this is going to be me really trying to pour it on and do better because it's tighter. But pretty sure that guy gets by me, but I don't know when, because this is somewhat near. I feel like this is somewhat near. I still don't know the track that well, but I feel like this is somewhat near the end of the lap. And if he's who I'm thinking of, he definitely passes me before this lap ends. So that was a little bit better. Like, I went to the inside, and then here it doesn't matter so much. But now let's see, do I take the good line for this next section? I should turn right after the banner. No, I take the slow line. Does he get by me there? No, I got lucky because that was an idiot line. But there is a spot up here, again, where you basically make this U-turn, and I think the faster line is to go hard all the way. I did it one time. That was the only time I took that line the whole race. Every other time I took the bonehead line. But that dude's back there, and I know he beats me, so I wonder where he's going to pass me. So just trying to, reel in who I think is in front of me, and then minimize the damage in these straights. Just try to flow. Don't put it right into a tree. And not sure. Can you see anybody else up there? I'm not really seeing anybody. So that dude who had gotten by me, he's obviously clearly gone. Oh, I think that was a really nasty turn. Wide open straight, minimize the damage. This part was super rough again. So again, the Stark is a pretty decent advantage here because you just point and shoot. Try not to hit a tree. Try not to bury it to the pegs. Here we go to the mud hole. So my buddy's going to make fun of me because I don't do that. Whoever's in front of me, though, he also did the concrete cylinder. And then somebody get by me on the inside? No. So evidently everybody who's around me took the chicken line for that one. And then I'm pretty sure after that means we're coming up to I think that means we're close. You'd think if I've now seen 800 laps on this, that means we're close to the pro hill, but I don't really remember. Okay, yeah, so we're coming up to the place where Tanner Myers smartly jumps off the bridge early, and I turned one turn into 3. So here we go. Go. Yeah, man. That was just dumb. If you watch Tanner Myers' social media and you see him do that, you're like, dude, what are you thinking? That was just really good on his part, but I'm sure all the pros were doing that. So here we are. Here's the pro hill. So see that, or yeah, see how that's, I swear when I got to the 4th lap, it looked like it was even worse. And I don't know if they had bannered this off or not. But anyways, so this is my 3rd lap. I did that. That was the last time for me to do the pro hill. I had to take the chicken line the next time. And so that's the thing, is like, I don't know if I passed anybody, because theoretically this is 50 seconds faster. So, and I have no idea what place I'm in, but it would not surprise me at all if somebody catches me and passes me who didn't take the pro line at this point. Although this lap time was decent, because so this lap time for me was a 25:07, and so like Joseph had a faster lap. He ran a 24:24, and then of course Jason Owens, who won by 4 minutes or whatever it was, he ran a 24:12. But other than that, nobody else actually ran a faster lap than me. So, maybe I just hung on to it. So, you can see that there was somebody in front of me. Caught a glimpse of them for a little bit. So there they are up there. So at this point in the race, when it's all kind of jumbled in your head and you have no idea who's who, at least I just tell myself is like, just try to make passes. It doesn't matter if they're in your class or not. It just helps you not settle into a slow pace to see somebody that you can try to reel in. And the harder they are to reel in, the better, because that means it's more likely that they're real and you're passing for something that matters, rather than you've just caught some poor sea rider who's a lapper. So let's see if I can catch this person or who they are. Looks like they've gotten a little bit away at this point. So I'm just trying to tell myself, smooth is fast, crashing is slow. Go fast, don't crash. And this is a spot that should be good for me because it's in the woods. So no horsepower is not going to hurt. Trampus Parker on his CRF 230 would beat me by a minute through this section. He'd beat anybody in my class by a minute through the section. So just flow. And that's what I'm trying to do. Front wheel, I think, skidded on me a little bit there, which is, good. You want to be pushing it a little bit, finding the edge of traction. That's what Stu Baylor will always say if you watch his videos, is like if you're not ever like going over the line a little bit, maybe you don't want to go over the line so much you crash, but if you're not ever going over the line, then you're not close enough to the line. So I'm just trying to remember that. Fast without crashing, and see if I can catch up to whoever that person is. My GoPro, by the way, doesn't make it this whole race. I thought that it would, and so I went ahead and started at a full 10 minutes early just to cut out the stress that I normally have from verifying that it's on, and is my watch on to track my mileage and heart rate and blah blah blah. But the whole last slow lap that I did was cut off at some point. I don't know exactly where it was cut off. I just know that I didn't get the whole race. So here we go again, wide open, coming into a gentle turn that's got these sketchy ass culverts or ditches or whatever. So anyways, but that person is there and I'm not catching them very fast. So now I think this is where for a second, I could be wrong, where I see Jimmy. Anyways, I'm just trying to, flow, don't crash, and pick somebody off if I can. So, you can keep seeing just little flickers of them up in the distance. Or maybe it's just my eyes are being too optimistic, and I'm seeing stuff that's not there. But I feel like I think I keep seeing people, and so that's always a good sign. That was a decent line. So, flow. But I don't know. Maybe I lost him because I haven't seen a flicker of anybody else in a while. There's somebody, but that's I'm guessing there. Based on that, they probably had a solid 8 seconds on me. So yeah, I can't tell. He took off too fast, but I think that might have been Jimmy. So if that was Jimmy, for me, that's just solid. So if at this far into the race, I can be, in contact with second place and somebody who I know is an extremely good rider, yeah, that's Jimmy, I'm pretty sure. So now this one, this was awful. So this became borderline unpassable. So got to try to get by this poor kid. I don't know if that's a guy or girl, but whatever. And my bike is stuck. So I'm having to lift and push and lift and push. And so that was rather unfortunate because we're coming up to one of my slow sections. And if I could have had Jimmy to try to latch onto, if nothing, I would just tell myself only lose 3 seconds or just only lose 5 seconds. But because of that mud hole, and also obviously I should have taken the line one more to the right because the guy who just passed me, he took a better line than I did, would have been optimum. But anyway, it is what it is. But I'm pretty sure, I had caught up to Jimmy at that point. Now, the funny thing will be, so I had caught up to Jimmy at that point, and I bet if you look at our total lap times, I bet he was 30 seconds ahead of me at that point. Actually, I guess it says 15 seconds. So anyways, but thanks to me screwing that up, I lost 15 seconds in just, this little part of the track. So, yeah, that's really all the commentary that I've got that's going to be at all helpful. There's not that much race left. So, thank you guys for watching.